You know what you should do? You should follow me on Twitter at Bromo018. Link in the description. Do it now. With the FIFA 20 release upcoming on the horizon comes a fresh set of challenges for career mode players. Last year we looked at a different range of situations in which you could choose a team that would best suit that challenge. In this video I want to share with you 5 teams that I have identified as a project in which you can rebuild that team. Rebuilding can cover quite a few aspects. Maybe it's a club which has seen success over many years, but during recent times they have fallen on hard ground and need to rebuild. Or perhaps it's already a successful club, but has seen the spine of the team ripped out through players leaving. There is a wide variety available for you guys to choose from, so let's take a look. As always, be sure to let me know in the comments section any clubs that you think would be appropriate for the list and an entertaining rebuilding challenge, and I'll get back to you as best as I can. With that in mind, let's get into the list. So first off, we start with La Liga and Spanish giants Atletico Madrid. For years, Diego Simeone has moulded the players at his disposal into a formidable unit, capable of beating anyone and achieving the unexpected. This transfer window, however, has seen a mass exodus on the cards at the Metropolitano Stadium. 3 of the defenders that have been part of the furniture for many years have left on free transfers in Juanfran, Felipe Luis and perhaps most importantly, club captain Diego Godin, who joined Inter Milan on a free transfer. Rodri made the switch to Premier League outfit Manchester City, Lucas Hernandez left for Bayern Munich, Gelson Martins to Monaco, and most noticeably Antoine Griezmann to Barcelona. That is essentially the heartbeat of that talented Madrid squad gone in the space of one transfer window. With countless speculation about Diego Costa, Saul and Jan Oblak leaving the club on top of this, there is a clear period of transition now in place at the Metropolitano. And whilst the club has already begun steps to fill those holes by signing the likes of João Felix from Benfica for an astronomical 120 million and Kieran Trippier from Tottenham, on top of a couple of other transfers, there is a lot more that needs to be done to fill those voids. This could be one of the most exciting projects to play on FIFA 20 career mode this year, as you will have a large budget available and plenty of room to manoeuvre in the transfer market. We can trust Diego Simeone to rebuild this Atletico squad and still make them a formidable force in the coming seasons, but will you be able to achieve this also? Next on the list we have Manchester United. Now this one is fairly self-explanatory. It's clear that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to reform United into the old days of the Sir Alex Ferguson era. Make them the hardest working and fittest team in the league and be able to win in a range of different ways. Whether that be playing on the front foot with fast, attacking, entertaining football or defending well and being resilient. With that comes a whole new transfer approach as well. It's clear that Manchester United have a lot of dead wood around the club and they are actively pursuing ways to get rid of these players. In turn, new players come in based on the new philosophy. Generally younger players who for the most part will be homegrown. Utilising the youth academy and young players already available to them will also be another part. And the challenge for you guys here will be to rebuild Manchester United into the force they once were by sticking to this philosophy. Moving to Italy now, we switch our focus to AC Milan as the next team to rebuild. Having finished outside of the Champions League places once again, Milan decided to part ways with club legend Rino Gattuso, which was followed by a rather strange appointment in Sampdoria manager Marco Giampaolo. To make matters worse, due to failure to pass financial fair play requirements, the Rossoneri were also banned from playing in the Europa League for 1 season, which was greeted with approval generally by Milan fans, but is actually very, very bad for the club. Not only does it lower revenue for the next club season, but it also shows just how badly Milan has been managed financially over the past few years. The club must now stop spending beyond its means and go in a different direction, whilst also having to rebuild the team in the new manager's image. The shifting out of Deadwood has already begun, but there is a lot more to be done. On top of that, you'll have to try and bring in talent on a lower budget, perhaps looking to develop younger players from the academy and purchase for cheaper prices in the transfer market. It could be a tough few years in store for AC Milan, but a really entertaining challenge for career mode players during FIFA 20. One that I'll certainly be considering doing for a YouTube series. Fourth on the list for teams to rebuild is a team that was perhaps the most shocking story of the season last year, and that's French Ligue 1 side AS Monaco. Former player Thierry Henry was hired as manager, and things went from bad to worse during his reign. The club then found themselves shockingly in the relegation zone in January, and it wasn't too long after that when Henry found himself on the unemployed list. They then went on to rehire former manager Leonardo Jardim and scraped avoiding relegation by the skin of their teeth, just 2 points. After being considered the team most likely to challenge the PSG dominance reign, this was a massive failure, and this season the club will have to stabilise and begin to rebuild the return to the right end of the league. One thing that you will have to do as Monaco manager is to cut down the size of the squad. They have one of the biggest squads you're going to come across if you play FIFA, and whilst this is down to signing a lot of young players to develop, it just isn't possible to award them all opportunities in the first team, and therefore some of them will have to go. What's interesting about Monaco is that really you don't need to make many transfers, if any at all, to return to being a competitive team challenging in Europe. You've already got youngsters with high potential paired in with some top quality veterans like Cesc Fabregas and Radamel Falcao, so the state of the actual players looks quite healthy. It's just about trimming down the size of the squad by finding the players that do and don't fit your plans, and then just regaining some all-important stability. Fifth and finally on this list is quite different to the previous 4 teams, as we switch from the first tier to the second tier. We go to Germany and Hamburg in the Zweite Bundesliga. In the 2017-2018 season, Hamburg were disastrously relegated for the first time in the history of the Bundesliga. Last season, everyone, of course, expected them to return at the first attempt of trying, but were surprisingly unsuccessful, finishing one place outside of the playoff spot in 4th. This season coming up certainly seems to be one where they're going all out for it. They've already lost a few key figures ahead of the season, including the highly rated 19-year-old Thea Arp for next to nothing to Bayern Munich, and have retaliated by signing a whole bunch of players. Can you rebuild Hamburg by returning to the Bundesliga and once again becoming a competitive outfit, challenging at the top end of the table? One of the best parts about doing this rebuild challenge is that Hamburg Stadium, the Volkspark Stadion, is actually on FIFA, and will therefore make your experience a whole lot more entertaining and immersive. This one could certainly prove to be the most challenging and enticing rebuild of the list. Well, that rounds it off for this one, guys. Let me know what you think about the teams I've chosen, and feel free to put forward any suggestions that you might also have. There's lots more content coming along the road for the likes of FIFA 20 and PES 2020, so make sure that you subscribe to the channel and click on the bell to keep up to date with the videos. Please do leave a like if you've enjoyed this one, and I'll be very grateful for the support. On that note, we are going to round it off there. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.